I'm pleased to announce that today the outstanding quality of North America's most famous craft beer, Sam Adams Lager, that the two companies, Moosehead Breweries Limited and the Boston Beer Company, have reached an agreement whereby Moosehead and our subsidiary, the Premium Beer Company, will distribute Sam Adams Lager and the entire Boston Beer portfolio throughout all 10 Canadian provinces. For me, this is as perfect as a match can be. There's an old saying that you are judged by the company you keep. And Jim, I think we're in damn fine company with Sam Adams with Boston Beer. Our two companies have a lot in common. We are each the largest independent brewer in our respective countries. We each understand the importance of quality and craftsmanship involved in making great beer. And we are both family owned, and most importantly, our families love everything about beer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a great friend and the godfather of American craft beer and the founder and brewer of the Boston Beer Company, Jim Koch.
Wow. Thank you for those kind words. This Jim Koch sounds like an impressive guy. I'd like to meet him someday. I feel more like, I don't know, the little guy behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. You know, just trying to pull the levers as fast as I can to keep this thing going. And for me, it's very much an honor to be here today with the Olin family, because like the Olins, I have 6 generations of brewing in my family. I'm the 6th oldest son in a row to be a brewer, except they were successful. We weren't. My family's run 13 breweries in the last 150 or so years. 12 of them went broke. The jury's still out on Sam Adams. I mean, it's looking good, but nothing is certain. So to me, a family that has been able to navigate the turbulence of the last century in the brewing industry, as Canada had hundreds and hundreds of breweries a century ago, and now it's down to a handful. You guys made it. My family didn't. So I have an enormous amount of respect for one of North America's preeminent brewing families, and one of the few that has remained stubbornly, fiercely, and proudly independent in an industry which has now fallen into the hands largely of basically 2 enormous international brewing conglomerates, both here in Canada and down south. And to me, we're very fortunate to be partnered up with Moosehead Breweries, with Premium Beer, and with the Olin family. And there's just a lot of values in common. I'm also very happy to finally have made my way to the Olin family. I met Andrew, as he mentioned, almost 15 years ago, and at that time, this is not our first coming to Canada. We began with a tiny little company that was like us, small and independent. It was a guy named Jim Brickman, who some of you know was a pioneer down here. It's not easy being a small brewer. He struggled. We then ended up with Sleeman, that was also trying to make really high quality beer in small scale, also independent. They went the way of most brewers are now owned by Sapporo in Japan. And that transition, we've always been very loyal to our partners, and that transition gave us, it was basically freed the slaves, and we got to choose who we wanted to be with, and that was our opportunity to come here to what I think is finally the most compatible partner that we've had a chance to have, and it's at a very, I think, a very important moment in the transformation of the beer industry in North America. And you may think I'm crazy, but here is my belief and prediction. And I guess the best way that I would kind of summarize what I think is we're starting to see emerging is that here in 2010, both in the US and Canada and in a few more advanced countries of the world, beer is becoming the new wine. The way I want it to be made, and I can bring it to the consumers the way I want to do it. And it is my belief that a growing part of the consumer segment in both the US and Canada is more interested in beer. And they want beers that don't come from huge beer factories, and they want beers that have individuals' pride and passion in every glass. And you're starting, and you know, Andrew talked about it, we have 1,500 other craft brewers in the United States. That's an enormously successful emergence, but all 1,500 of us have less than 5% of the US beer market. But it is the growing part. And it is not just growing in volume, but it's growing and taking root in consumers' minds and mentalities. The beer is not alcoholic soda pop sold with scantily clad women, you know, in sports. Beer is a beverage that has dignity and nobility and deserves the same respect that wine has been accorded. And I know that when I first came of legal drinking age, the #1 selling wine in the United States was a wine that probably none of you have ever heard of. It was called, anybody know, 40 years ago, #1 wine in the U.S.? Thunderbird. Thunderbird. This advertising, what's the word? Thunderbird. What's the price? 20 twice. 40 cents a bottle. How's it sold? Nice and cold. That was wine culture 40 years ago, and look what's happened. I believe that will happen in beer, and it will be a wonderful thing for consumers, for retailers, and for the culture in general. That beer begins to be treated with dignity and respect, and people are interested in how it's produced, who makes it, and what's in a glass. And that's been that education has been the foundation of our success in the United States. And you know, even here in Ontario, which has a distribution, I have to be honest, it has a distribution system that, well, you can look at it different ways. It is at least not that consumer friendly, to put it nicely. It seems on the other extreme, it's like, as near as I can tell, it's modeled after Kazakhstan. It's just historically just not been friendly to small volume producers and dominated by the big guys. And eventually, the consumer will get what they want. So I am very happy to be here with the Olins. As Andrew said, we met almost 15 years ago, but I have learned in brewing, you have to be patient. You can't rush the yeast. You can't rush the aging of the beer. I guess I learned it from my girlfriend in high school, who, when I was 16, told me, Jim, nothing good happens fast. I hated to hear it when I was 16, but she was right. So I am very glad to be here because something good has happened as a result of all of our patience. So to